No one questioned the cabins by the lake until the day everything changed, and when it did, the truth behind the land shook everyone to silence. Ethan Cole had watched quietly for months as the construction crews arrived, trucks rolling in at sunrise, carving out paths along the edge of the calm blue lake. One by one, 14 beautiful cabins rose from the ground, each perfectly placed to capture the reflection of the water at sunset. It looked like a dream development, the kind that would attract buyers instantly. The HOA was proud. Their representatives visited often, smiling, pointing, approving every detail. Neighbors whispered about rising property values. Everything seemed perfect. Except for one thing, Ethan never said a word. He lived just beyond the trees, his small home tucked away where most people forgot the property line even existed. He watched from a distance, hands in his pockets, eyes steady, never interrupting, never warning anyone, because he knew something they didn't, and he was waiting for the moment when silence would matter more than words. As the final cabin was completed and the for sale signs appeared, Ethan turned away from his window and quietly folded a set of old documents on his table. The closing date was finally set. And so was the truth. Closing day arrived like a celebration no one expected to end in silence. Buyers gathered, agents smiled, and the HOA stood proudly beside their biggest project yet. 14 cabins, all sold or nearly sold, each promising a perfect lakeside life. Ethan arrived late. No one noticed him at first. He walked slowly, dressed simply, carrying a worn leather folder. While others laughed and shook hands, he stood quietly at the edge of the gathering, watching the excitement unfold. The HOA president spoke loudly about success, about vision, about how this project would define the community's future. Applause followed. Cameras flashed. Everything felt final. But Ethan stepped forward just as the first documents were about to be signed. "Before you continue," he said calmly. The room paused. Conversations faded. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't look angry. But something about his tone made everyone listen. The HOA president frowned slightly, confused but confident. "Is there something you need?" Ethan nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "There's something all of you need to see." He placed the folder on the table and opened it carefully, revealing aged papers, maps, and signatures that told a story far older than the cabins themselves. And in that moment, the celebration began to shift into something no one was prepared for. The room grew quiet as Ethan turned the first page. What looked like ordinary documents quickly became something much bigger. Detailed land surveys, legal stamps, and handwritten notes revealed boundaries that no one in the HOA had mentioned. The lakefront, the very stretch where all 14 cabins stood, was not entirely theirs. A narrow but powerful easement ran directly through it, owned by Ethan. He explained it calmly, pointing to each marked section, showing how access rights, usage permissions, and legal protections had been recorded decades earlier. Nothing was hidden. Nothing was unclear. It had simply been overlooked or ignored. The HOA representatives exchanged uneasy glances. Buyers leaned closer, trying to understand what this meant. Ethan didn't rush. He let the silence build, letting the weight of each word settle. "This easement," he said gently, "gives me full legal access across this land, including the right to use and maintain a road through every single cabin property." A murmur spread across the room. The dream suddenly felt fragile. The cabins, once symbols of perfection, now stood connected by something no one had planned for, and Ethan still hadn't revealed everything. The HOA tried to respond quickly, but confidence was slipping. They assured buyers it was minor, something that could be handled later. But Ethan shook his head slightly. "It's already active," he said. He pointed toward the lakefront path, where a narrow dirt trail had existed long before construction began. It had been covered, reshaped, and built over, but never removed legally. "I have the right to restore it," Ethan continued. That meant access vehicles, maintenance work, regular use, right through the heart of the cabins. The buyer's excitement faded into hesitation. Questions began rising about privacy, about value, about long-term impact. The HOA's perfect project suddenly felt uncertain. Ethan wasn't angry. He wasn't trying to create chaos. He simply stood there, letting the truth speak for itself. Because he had waited, he had given them every chance to ask, to verify, to understand, but they hadn't, and now, on the most important day, the truth could no longer be ignored. The tension in the room shifted completely. What once felt like a celebration now felt like a negotiation no one had planned for. Buyers stepped back, whispering among themselves. Some checked their contracts. Others simply watched Ethan, realizing how much power he held without ever raising his voice. The HOA tried to regain control, offering quick reassurances, suggesting adjustments, promising solutions. But their words felt rushed now. Uncertain, Ethan didn't interrupt. He waited, because this wasn't about creating fear, it was about balance. "I'm not here to stop anything," he said calmly. "But this land was never fully yours." That simple sentence carried more weight than any argument. The buyers understood, this wasn't just a technical issue. It was something that could affect every moment of living there, and suddenly, Ethan, the quiet neighbor no one noticed, became the most important person in the room. Then came the moment no one expected. Instead of pushing further, Ethan closed the folder. "I'm open to an agreement," he said. The room paused again, but this time, with hope, he explained that the easement could be adjusted, redefined, even limited. But only if it was done properly, with respect for the original rights and a fair understanding moving forward. It wasn't revenge, it was resolution. The HOA representatives listened carefully now, no longer dismissive, no longer confident. They realized the situation wasn't just about fixing a mistake, it was about acknowledging one, and Ethan had all the time in the world to wait, because he already had what they needed. By the end of the day, everything had changed. The contracts were paused. New discussions began. And the project that once seemed perfect now had a new foundation, one built on truth instead of assumption. Ethan walked away quietly, just as he had watched everything begin. But this time, everyone knew his name, because sometimes, the strongest move isn't speaking first, it's knowing exactly when to speak last. And that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you love the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.